Thanks, Premier, and good morning, everyone. I'll just give an update on the COVID numbers. There were 1,083 locally acquired COVID-19 cases reported in New South Wales in the 24 hours to 8 o'clock last night, and there were 2 overseas acquired cases. There were 99,782 tests performed yesterday until 8 o'clock. In terms of hospitalisations, we currently have 1,238 people with COVID admitted to hospital, with 234 in intensive care and 123 who require ventilation. Sadly, we've seen 13 deaths in people with COVID yesterday, 9 men and 4 women. 1 person was in their 40s, 2 in their 50s, 2 people in their 60s, 5 people in their 70s, and 3 in their 80s. 5 people were from Western Sydney, 2 were from southwestern Sydney, 2 were from northern Sydney, 2 people were from Sydney's inner city, 1 was from southern Sydney, and 1 person was from Dubbo. For the 13 people who died with COVID, 9 people were not vaccinated. 2 people had received 1 dose of COVID-19 vaccine, and 2 people, a man in his 80s and a woman in her 70s, both with underlying health conditions, had received 2 doses. 2 people died at home, a man in his 60s from northern Sydney who was being cared for in the community by the Northern Sydney LHD. He'd received 1 dose of COVID-19 vaccine and had underlying health conditions. And a man in his 40s from Western Sydney who died at home, and his infection was diagnosed following his death. He was not vaccinated. A woman in her 60s from Western Sydney died at Ryde Hospital. Her death is linked to an outbreak at the Gallipoli Home Aged Care Facility. A woman in her 70s died at the Holy Spirit Aged Care Facility in Dubbo. This is a 2nd death linked to that outbreak in the facility. So we extend our deepest sympathy to the family and friends of the people who've died. There have now been 241 COVID-related deaths in New South Wales since the 16th of June, and 297 in the total pandemic. We've had a number of sewage detections in regional New South Wales without known cases. The places of concern where we've had sewage detections have been Cowra in Western New South Wales, Berriton in the far west south of New South Wales, South Kempsey on the mid-north coast, Ballina on the north coast, and earlier we'd reported detecting fragments in Eden, Byron Bay and Wardell on the north coast, and Balranald in the far west, and Griffith in the Murrumbidgee. So everyone in these areas where we've identified these evidence of COVID in the community, please come forward for testing if you have even the mildest of symptoms. It's very important we identify people with COVID so we can protect yourself as well as your community from further spread. We continue to see the biggest number of cases in southwest and western Sydney, particularly the suburbs of Merrylands, Auburn, Greenacre, Chester Hill, Waterloo, Blacktown, Lanier, Bankstown and Lakemba. Regarding Redfern, where we've seen an outbreak, there are pleasingly no additional cases of COVID-19 identified across the 3 social housing buildings in Moorhead Street, Redfern, to 8 o'clock last night. There remain 20 cases across these 3 buildings, which are home to more than 630 residents. But we really want to thank the community in that part of Redfern for coming forward for testing and vaccination. In recent days, we've had just a fantastic response there, and that response is continuing. So Sydney Local Health District will have mobile vaccination teams on the ground again today, visiting 18 social housing blocks in Redfern and Waterloo, and we urge everyone living there to take the opportunity to come and get vaccinated. Vaccination is just so important in protecting ourselves and our families and friends and community. Regarding regional cases, in the Illawarra, we've had 64 new cases reported to 8 o'clock last night. On the Central Coast, 20 new cases. In the Hunter, 13 new cases. In Western New South Wales, we've had 8 new cases. And in the far west, 10 new cases. In southern New South Wales, there have been 7 new cases reported, including 3 in Yass, who are close contacts of a known case, 3 in Bateman's Bay, who are part of a cluster of cases there, and one new case in Goulburn, who's a close contact of a known case. On the mid-north coast, 3 new cases were reported yesterday. These include 2 cases in Kempsey, who are household contacts of each other, and 1 case in Coffs Harbour, who acquired infection elsewhere. In northern New South Wales, 1 new case was identified in the Lismore area. This case was announced yesterday, but included in today's number. And the source of the investigation remains underway. Thanks very much.